You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
We're back. This is Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting live from the Concierge Landscape Studios, and we're brought to you this hour by Extreme Exteriors. It's time now for a message from the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. This MHA Minute is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need an exterminator, give Greg Keener a call at Pest Control Services 952-894-9748. I always call Greg. Pest Control Services is a proud member of Angie's List and a member of the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. That's Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Tell Greg that Gene and Tony sent you.
If you're renting out a property for the first time, there's a lot you need to know so that you can do it successfully and, frankly, keep yourself out of trouble. Luckily, there's a statewide resource with all the tools you need to run your new business successfully. In fact, the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association regularly holds a seminar called Accidental Landlord, specifically designed for people who are renting out a property for the first time. They also have residential leases, security deposit agreements, a lead disclosure, and lots of other forms. They even have brochures on the principles of successful property management and the eviction process that you can download for free. So if you want to know more about the Accidental Landlord Seminar or other classes about owning, managing, or maintaining anything from a single unit to a growing apartment portfolio, visit the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association's website, mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com.
You know, Jeannie, we have several items to talk about today, but we have forgotten to encourage our listeners to call in with your comments or questions or your stories. Call us at 651-289-4488. Let us know what you think.
That's right.
This next news story you found, Gene, I think is an example of inflammatory type of reporting. And it was about the lady who has formed a community center in her association.
Yes, this takes place in California. It was written in the San Diego Union Tribune. A 70-year-old has taken her garage and uses it as an area to knit and watch Jeopardy with her neighbors.
That sounds like a little slice of heaven to me. That's how I would like to spend an afternoon, knitting and watching Jeopardy.
That's right. And it happens frequently throughout the week. This 70-year-old woman has her garage door up. Neighbors come in and gather. There are folding chairs. There's a television. But the association, the Villa Portofino Association, is fining Marilyn Weber $120, saying she can't use her garage as a living space. But this 70-year-old is not backing down. She says she's going to continue to have the door open to her garage, have her neighbors come in to knit, watch Jeopardy, and celebrate those birthdays that they do each and every week. She says, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't hang out in my garage. You know, I think a lot of people understand that. You know, that
hey, well, you know, what about Garage Logic and what's his name that all you men love to watch, listen to? Joe Souchere.
He talked about that
for
years.
Men's Crisis Center.
That's right, yes. It is a place where a lot of things get resolved, isn't it? But she said, my friends come over and use this space. If it wasn't for them, she said, I would feel isolated. And Weber is one of the original owners who purchased her home in 1973. The association has fined a $50 initial fine and then $2 a day until she ceases. The rules and regulations at Villa Portofino says this specifically: no structure of a temporary character, trailer, basement, tent, shack, garage, barn, or other outbuilding shall be used on any lot as a residence, either temporary or permanently. And so based on that, the association said, we are fining her. Board members declined to comment, but one of Weber's next-door neighbors supports the action. She's been warned, said the neighbor. Those rules are there for a reason. They keep housing values up and they keep houses from falling apart. Several years ago, the association told Weber that she needed to remove the drapes and coverings that were in the walls of her garage. And But one of the other neighbors in the association says, we all think it's insane what they're doing. To me, it is the front porch of the community that everyone gathers around, said Amy Berkowitz. I got to tell you, I think that this all begins with some really poorly worded rules in the association.
Okay. I have ambivalent feelings about this.
Do you really?
Well, yeah. I have empathy for both sides of this argument. Mm-hmm. But you're right. Talk more about the rules and how they're stated.
I just think it is just a poorly written. To say that a garage cannot be used as a residence. What does that mean? A residence is where you live. It's where you reside.
Yeah.
Part of my home or my residence, is it not my garage?
Yeah.
And I'm going to live to a certain extent. I'm going to have my garage. I'm going to have my car in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably have some personal effects there. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to have a workbench. There's a number of things I'm going to do in the garage.
Sure.
So to say you can't use that as a residence,
that's too vague.
It's too vague.
Yeah.
And at best, and at worst, I don't think that's what they mean.
Yeah, many communities will say specifically, the cities will say you cannot use your garage as a sleeping room. You can't put a bed in there, and that's for safety reasons, actually.
Yes, and that would make sense if you read that same thing again, saying that you can't use those things as a residence for a person to live in, like a trailer, a shack, a barn, a garage, all of that. Yes, for someone who is a landlord, yes, you cannot promote those as living spaces.
She couldn't
bedroom
rent
areas.
out her garage to a roomer as a bedroom.
As their own space.
Yeah. On the other hand, I'm very sympathetic with the neighbor who lives next door to her while all of this traffic is going in and out of her garage and hanging out there and talking and making noise. You know, I have some feelings for him.
Yeah, and that's where I think perhaps the rules could have been written a little bit better. We both know that there are a number of HOAs that will have something written a little bit differently. They will tell the residents at an HOA that they don't want the garage door to be left up and unattended.
Right.
Because I can understand people saying if all the garage doors were up, it looks a little bit, maybe a little bit junky. You know,
that's right.
And,
it does look junky, and associations don't like it.
Yes, and so to be more specific, I think could take care of it. Plus, I don't know ultimately if the association's really upset with the fact that Marilyn has her friends knit in the garage and watch TV. Just close the garage door. You know, if
that seems
Marilyn,
like that would be an option.
And now I know Marilyn's living in it's San Diego in California. Gorgeous weather
nice.
all the time, so I could see you want the garage door up, but you know the association has the right to make that rule, and obviously it's not enjoyed by everybody because in the article it said that the neighbor next door said, "I don't like it."
Yeah. You know, but where I sympathize with Marilyn, is that her name? What a wonderful thing that the neighbors in the community like to gather there and visit her and visit with each other. I mean, that's so rare.
Yes.
In multifamily housing these days, that's really a special situation and should be encouraged somehow.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the association has gone maybe a little bit too far in saying what she can and can't have inside her garage. You know, what she can hang there. That there's nothing that rule states that would prohibit anything there. I think the real issue is you need to have people that just need to get together and work something out. I think if Maryland were to lower the garage door, I think end of issue.
Yeah. Would it help if there were certain designated days where she could open up and run her community center?
Or if she doesn't like that, she ought to approach the board to have that rule rescinded, have it rewritten.
Yep.
But to just take a stance and say, nope, that's it. I'm not going. I refuse to pay, and I'm not going to change. That is not being neighborly and cooperative, and for the association to not try to work something out too.
Right.
just because you have the authority to make a rule
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you don't need from time to time to think about other considerations. We need to take a break. It's coming up to the top of the hour. We've got a whole nother hour. Don't go away. We've got a situation where the state of Nevada is at it again. Folks, I think they're just nuts out there. And we've got another legislator who is saying on HOA foreclosures, I know a way of stopping the foreclosure process. Why don't we just have those homeowners offer up what's inside? More after this on Where You Live with Gene and Tony.